day to my lecturer, Dr. Naraini, and those who are watching. Today, I'm going to present a report on the analysis and evaluation of one's classroom practice. According to Professor Jack C. Richards, lessons have their own recognizable structure. It begins with a distinct way. It proceeds through a series of teaching and learning activities with lots of teaching aids, and ends with a conclusion. The analysis of a lesson structure focuses on 4 dimensions of structuring, which are opening, sequencing, pacing, and closure. Opening refers to how a lesson begins. The opening stage will take up about 5 minutes of the lesson. Sequencing describes how a lesson is divided into segments and how these segments are related to each other. For example, the set induction, presentation stage, practice stage, and production stage, and also the closure stage. Next, pacing is related to the way a sense of movement is achieved within a lesson. In simple terms, pacing is where the teachers allocate time for each lesson. For example, set induction will take about 3 minutes, presentation stage will take about 4 minutes, practice stage 18 minutes, production stage 5 minutes, and closure 1 minute. And the closure indicates the way in how the lesson is brought to an end. It is the concluding part which serves to reinforce what has been learned. Opening refers to the set induction where the lesson commences. For my teaching and learning process, the teacher shows the students a video of deforestation for the purpose of getting the student ready for the reading comprehension passage of deforestation. The set induction of using audio-visual aids is interesting and lively. Therefore, it captures the student's attention and interest before the lesson starts off. However, the weaknesses of the set induction would be there are some few vocabularies for the learners, such as perpetuate, barren, lumber, extinct, and the list goes on. Students might find difficulty understanding the reading comprehension passage. Next is the sequencing. The weaknesses in the sequencings are in the practice stage, where the teacher distributes one comprehension passage and read questions to each group, but didn't give the instructions on what to do with it. And then, when the students ask what is the meaning of combating, the teacher just keeps quiet and ignores the student's question. The teacher also discusses the answers of the reading comprehension passage without explaining why the answer is correct or why the answer is incorrect. Suggestions on how to make it better are the teacher should give a clear and detailed instruction to the whole class. The teacher should also be well prepared for any vocabulary that can be found in the reading comprehension passage. The teacher can also bring a dictionary to class for reference of unknown words. Discussing answers with the whole class should be justified as why it is correct or why it is incorrect, and not just mere giving answers without any reasons. Moving on to pacing stage. Pacing stage is the time allocated for each part of the lesson. One of the weaknesses in the pacing stage is insufficient time, although the time used exceeded the allocated time in the lesson plan. For instance, in the practice stage, the time used exceeded the actual lesson plan for 1 minute. The reading comprehension passage might be too difficult for the students to comprehend. Therefore, the students take time to answer the reading comprehension passage. Moving on to closure. Closure is how the lesson is brought to an end. It is the concluding part which aims to reinforce what has been learned during the whole teaching and learning process. The closure is a good one, although it is slightly time-consuming. Before the teacher ends the class, she requested the students to write down their opinions or feedback regarding the class. However, the teacher gave them 2 minutes to do so, which exceeded the time allocated in a lesson plan, which is the closure stage is 1 minute. Besides, instead of asking the students, do they have any doubts regarding deforestation, the teacher should ask questions to the students and not just mere asking if they have any questions or no. Analysis of classroom discourse. Discourse can be defined as a communication, conversation, or discussion. Classroom discourse, in simple terms, is a communication inside a classroom during the teaching and learning process. This includes the communication and the language used by the teacher and the learners, as well as teacher-learner and learner-learner interactions. In the recordings, the students seem to just go blank or do not know what to do at certain times during the teaching and learning process. For instance, in a practice stage, after distributing the reading comprehension passage, the teacher didn't give instructions to each group on what to do with the reading comprehension passage and question. The teacher also asked the students if they have encountered any vocabularies, but when the student asked the teacher what is the meaning of combating, the teacher just remained silent and tried to make himself busy so that the student do not further ask more questions. And also, when discussing the answer with the students, the teacher did not explain the answers given by the student, why it is correct or why it is incorrect. Improvement should be done for a better classroom discourse in the teaching and learning process in a language classroom, specifically the English language. Instructional discourse. One of the instructional discourse that I use in this teaching and learning process is the type of questioning. The questioning that I use are mostly close-ended questions. Close-ended type questions where a simple yes or no is sufficient to answer the teacher's question. For example, so every one of you have read the passage, right? Do you have any problem? Are you done? Can I have someone to present? Can I have each group to write down your opinion regarding this class? Are all close-ended questions. The wait time that I use is less than 3 seconds because close-ended questions does not require feedback from the teacher. Next, the IRF or E, initiation, response, feedback or evaluation, where the teacher initiates, the learner responds, and the teacher gives feedback or evaluation, is a pattern of discussion between the teacher and the learner. However, it is not used in my teaching and learning process because feedback is not given, as I only use close-ended type question which only requires the student to answer yes or no and the conversation just ends there. Suggestions on how to make it better is to use more open-ended type questions. It elicits more response and answer from the students and so that the students can engage more in the classroom. Language proficiency. There have been a few mistakes that I committed during the teaching and learning process. One of it is the fillers used during the teaching and learning process. I will distribute a manila card to each group. This is certainly unprofessional for a teacher in the teaching and learning process. Besides, clear my instructions is a wrong sentence structure and should not be exhibited in front of the students in the teaching and learning process, especially in a language classroom. Next, at behind of this manila card is grammatically incorrect, where the teacher should say behind this manila card. I will improve my level of English language proficiency by speaking more in English language with all of the person that I deal with every day, for example, my classmates, housemates, and also my roommate. Next, since I love watching English movies with English subtitles, this time I will listen attentively to the English movie without the subtitles below so that I can catch up on what they are saying, and this will indirectly improve my level of English language proficiency. Listening to English songs, just like what I normally do, and read more English reading material is a must to increase my level of English language proficiency. Reflection. I may not have really teach in a real language classroom with real students, but from what I read and learned from this assignment, the analysis of lesson structure, which is the opening, sequencing, pacing, and closure, plays an important part in making sure that the lesson plan suits the teaching and learning process in a language classroom. Besides, the language proficiency of the teacher is really important because if the teacher himself or herself is not proficient in the English language, then the students won't have the confidence with the teacher to learn the English language, and the teacher's knowledge and skills about the English language won't be put to use if the teacher have bad English. As a future English teacher, I have learned a lot from this assignment. Being a good English teacher is not easy, as you need to come up with a good lesson plan, be proficient in the English language, have good discourse in a language classroom, and other little things that shape you to become an outstanding English teacher. It also helps me in improvising a lesson plan and reflecting on my teaching in a language classroom. My English language proficiency level also really needs improvement before I go out for my teaching practices and the real world of teaching out there. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.